tomorrow will be better. Given g of x equals this, find this. Dear friends, this is read as g inverse of x. This is the inverse function of this other function. First and foremost, what's the inverse of a function? Mathematically, the inverse of a function is another function which actually cancels the effect of the original function. It means if I have a function f which takes inputs x and changes it into y, now the inverse function of this x, denoted like this, is another function which now takes x y back to the initial variable x. So this is the simplest way we can define a function. So in our case, how can we proceed to calculate the inverse of this rational function? Follow me, dear friends. Solution. First and foremost, let's start by let g of x, let this g of x here be another variable y. It means we no longer write g of x here, we will now write y. This means y will be equal to x plus 3 all over x plus 1. Now in the steps that will follow, we will target to make x the subject of this formula. It means we should have a situation of x equals, alright, so to do this we will start by cross multiplying. So I will have y times all of what's down there, x plus 1 will be equal to x plus 3 times whatever is down here too. If you expand this correctly, y times x is yx plus y times 1 is just y equals all of this times 1 is just itself. At this point, I will bring together the like terms, alright? So to the left I have yx, and when this comes here it becomes negative. Be very careful with the signs. Now y will come and meet 3 here and become negative y. At this point, I have to factor out x because it's common here between the two terms. So I'll have x out here. What will be left here is y, and then only 1 will be left here. Then there's the negative sign which I've brought down. We have 3 minus y. At this point, to make x a subject, dear friends, divide both sides by whatever is holding this x, which in this case is all of this, y minus 1, not just y, not just minus 1, but all of it. So if you correctly do this, we will have that x now will be equal to 3 minus y all over y minus 1. At this point, dear friend, the rule requires that we should replace this x by g inverse of x, because in essence, by making x the subject of this formula, we actually have calculated the inverse function. What becomes now of the y which we introduced somewhere at the start? Y now takes back the form of the initial variable which is x. So it will look like this now. So instead of y, I will have g inverse of x will be equal to 3 minus no more y, but now x all over, again no more y,